Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we're going to check out the spotlight on the new champion Quintus, the Triumphant from Raid. And then we're going to talk about the summoning events for this weekend. So I guess let's see what Raid make of this new champion.
Hey everyone. It has been some time since our last champion spotlight, but we have quite a treat to make up for it. For this spotlight, we are highlighting one of the most famous gladiators Teleria has ever known.
Let's go.
He's ruthless, he's efficient, he's implacable. He is Quintus, the Triumphant, a unique legendary champion that can only be won in live arena. To summon him, you'll need to gather his champion fragments. You'll earn these as one-time rewards for climbing through live arena's various tiers. You'll get 20 fragments at certain milestones, with you having enough to summon Quintus when you reach Gold 3. But enough preamble, gladiators. Now for the main event. Let's take a look at his skills and see why you'll want to make this champion part of your team. First things first. Quintus is a void champion, which means he doesn't care about the affinity of whatever face he's about to break. Always sweet bonus, but the
Oh, that animation's actually nice. Let's see that again.
Whatever face he's about to break. Always a sweet bonus.
Oh,
but the real
I like it.
fun
I like it a lot.
begins with his passive skill, Percussion. No matter what active skills Quintus uses, he deals extra damage equal to 10% of his target's max HP for every buff on that.
Did you see? This is what's funny about some of these videos, right? See the damage he actually does in this clip. It doesn't make him that desirable, but I know, because I've been talking to Saf and we looked at his multipliers, this actually hits really hard. Look at this.
Extra damage equal to 10% of his target's
1,000.
max HP for every buff on that target. What's really scary is that extra damage is pure damage, and it ignores shields. Quintus laughs in the face of your enemy's puny shield buffs. Support and glass cannon champions and buff-heavy teams in particular are going to cry their eyes out when they see Quintus entering the arena. This passive's going to be pretty useful in PvE as well. Pure damage is always welcome against bosses. Things get even better when we look at Quintus's default skill, Encore Performance. If his target has no buffs on them, Quintus will bludgeon them again with his hammer. And if any of these hits are critical, he will repeat the whole attack once. So that's up to 4 gnarly thwacks from our fearsome gladiator. Now imagine landing a critical hit on a super buffed up champion. That's 2 attacks with the extra pure damage from Percussion. That's gotta hurt. Next up, the first of Quintus's 2 active skills, the aptly named Strip Away. He removes all the buffs from the target champion, places a 60% decreased defense debuff on them for 2 turns, then adds a hammer to the face for good measure.
I actually wonder why you'd want to do that. If really you want to be fighting these dudes when there are buffs out there, right? For his passive.
If that doesn't make you wince, these effects can't be resisted or blocked either. Yeah.
I mean, it's cool as well. Like, just completely wiping buffs away is also nice.
Yeah, talk about brutal. That is incredibly strong on its own, but this skill has a special mechanic you'll need to consider. Damage inflicted by Strip Away can't be decreased by an enemy champion's passive skills or masteries. But Quintus's masteries, or the passive skills of his allies, cannot increase its damage either. The exact opposite is true when it comes to bosses. Their passives can decrease Quintus's damage, but he also gets any damage boosts from his masteries to make up for it.
That's actually a really good way they've designed that skill so that he's relevant in both PvE and PvP. He's more of a PvP dude, right? That's definitely, his kit is about PvP, but at least you can use him elsewhere as well.
As an extra cherry on top, killing an enemy with this skill will reset the cooldown for the next active skill, Crowd Favorite.
That's insanely cool. Like, this does a lot of damage, and then this is a one-shot kind of target. I'm going to go through multipliers in a minute.
This is a sweet and simple skill that plays to Quintus's strengths. Caving in faces. First, he gets a 50% increased attack and 30% increased critical damage buff for 3 turns, then attacks all enemies. And if any target dies, the cooldown on Strip Away is reset. And yes, the extra damage from Percussion can inflict some serious pain if this skill is used at the right time. Finally, Quintus's aura increases his team's attack stat in the arena by 35%. A handy bonus and very fitting for a legendary gladiator. Now, let's take a quick look at the artifacts you might want for this beast of a champion. Apart from all the usual stuff you...
Speed. They've actually called it attack set when it's cruel. That should say Cruel Raid and crit damage. I mean, honestly, you probably would want Savage, Lethal, or maybe the new set Zeal on this dude. Cruel's relevant. Crit damage is relevant. But yeah.
You'd expect from a top-tier attacker: speed, attack, critical damage.
I think they've been talking a bit too much to Frank. Speed, attack, attack.
You really want to increase Quintus's critical rate to ensure the extra attack from Encore Performance activates as often as possible. So, either use artifacts that increase that stat, or bring along a friend or two that can buff his critical rate. The good news is that you don't need to worry about accuracy. The effects of Strip Away cannot be resisted, so invest in pushing his damage to the max. Overall, go with your personal favorite nuker setups while keeping Quintus's quirks in mind, and you'll be the conqueror of the arena in no time. Well, are you not entertained? If you are, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe.
Okay, let's go through his multipliers that Saf's pulled out of the game code. Okay, so you can always find this info on hellhades.com. As soon as we know it, you know it. In his champion page here, we kind of go through where we think he would be good, how we would gear him, all that type of good stuff. So that's all normal. We've got a bit of a write-up on him here as well. But let's go through his skills then. His A1 has got a 1.9 multiplier on attack. This isn't obscene, but it's really high. So if you take Phoenix as like the best A1 in the game, albeit Phoenix block revives as well, so it's even crazier. But this skill is a little bit below Phoenix when you hit 4 times. So it hits the godlike, which means top 12.5% of all single target skills in the game. But yeah, very high. The A2, which again is attacks one enemy. This is the buff removal, then smack. This has also got a godlike multiplier 5.5 times attack. And then the AoE A3, 3.8 times attack. And he buffs himself with increased attack and crit damage before he does it. And this becomes a godlike skill. So this is a godlike skill. Now, the interesting part of his passive here, each of his skills deals pure damage. The amount of pure damage dealt is equal to 10% of the target's max HP for every buff. Right? The additional pure damage will be dealt, will ignore some shields. Now, we're going to have to test it because they say that this can hit twice, which it does. If he crits, he goes again. So if someone's got 5 buffs and they hit for 50% of the target's max HP, and then do they then hit for 50% of what's left? If someone's got 3 buffs, 30%, is it then 30% of what's left? Or is it says their max HP. It says to me that if they've got 5 buffs, that could be a one-shot. I don't know. But if everyone's got 3 or 4 buffs, you're basically going to do your hit, plus you're going to get the percussion extra damage, which is going to be nuts. He is going to be actually crazy for the current PvP meta, which is very, very buff heavy. So yeah, this dude is definitely worth the effort, I would say. And it does look like it's going to be hard initially on Live Arena, but once things settle down, it's definitely a system that pushes point growth rather than point diminishing. So I think a lot of people will end up in gold tiers. So one other thing to talk about here, we do have a summoning event coming up this weekend. So we've got our normal 2 times on ancient shards. Yeah, so this weekend is kind of in rotation. It's going to be additional chance to get legendaries from ancients. We're kind of probably coming up to a fusion starting really soon as well. So you kind of need to bear that in mind. But let's just go through the champion that is up for grabs. And it's going to be potentially the only champion that gives you a decent survivability and counterattack for the new Fire Knight 10. So they definitely looked at analytics. I mean, we look at analytics through the optimizer, and we look at, you know, what are good teams that are currently running high-end content for the new stuff. Valk is in just about every team that's currently running Fire Knight 10 that's been able to do it. Pretty much all of them. Yeah, which is crazy. Like her and Cardiel are absolutely top tier for that content. In fact, to the point where there's very few champions that are allowing it without her. I did see from Sent, who I did this kind of like stream interview with the other day, he's beaten his record from that interview. Let me show you this very quick. Because it is kind of nuts, actually. Like, this is for him. He loves it. He loves trying to push kind of content as hard as he can, which is cool. But this is his team with the +2 Valk. He did Fire Knight 10 in 1 minute 31 full auto, and this is the team that he's running. So props to Sent for doing that. But yeah, Valk, is she still relevant in the game? Well, she's super relevant right now. She's really a clan boss champion with massive shields and counterattack. But if you're already running unkillable teams, her value diminishes a ton. And then she's kind of become a PvP champion up until at this moment in time, because she's got a passive that can push back enemy turn meter when they receive buffs. But she's not really in like the proper endgame meta right now. She's not really in it. I'm a bit surprised, honestly, because there's so many buffs floating around. You think they would be, but speed meta is not really there. And she's one of those champions that enables you to outspeed your enemy because you're pushing their turn meter back. Well, you don't really want to push your enemy turn meter back because everyone's in Stone Skin. And Stone Skin's immune to turn meter control. And also, you need them to take turns so they actually take some damn damage. So yeah, she's kind of dropped out of the meta for that. But she's popped right up in Fire Knight 10. She's got a double hit with some turn meter drop on her A1 as well. She is a really good legendary champion. And, you know, if you got her on like a mid-game account, she's top draw. So chances are you're going to be pulling Ancients anyway over the weekend because it's 2 times Ancients and you'd be nuts not to. But do bear in mind, we haven't had a guaranteed champion on Ancients forever. We haven't seen what the next fusion's going to be yet, and it's probably going to be announced, I guess, tomorrow. Or maybe Friday, but I'm guessing it's going to be tomorrow. Announced tomorrow, going live next week. So just bear those things in mind before you pull shards this weekend. But anyway, we should know more before that event goes out. I've been Hell Hades. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you later.